Mr. Attard, the Malta Attractiveness Survey has become a national benchmark for both public and private stakeholders. Last year, you had over 450 people attending the event. Without revealing your secret formula, what is the key to its success?
Yes, I think we managed to basically bring all the stakeholders together, and not just to discuss kind of in a void. We do provide some scientific research, which involves a lot of effort, so we basically interview a number of people on the ground in Malta, we get their feedback, and then we managed to get a number of stakeholders together to basically discuss the future of Malta. What is good, what can be done better in Malta, what is not so good in Malta. And I think one good thing we do is we bring people from both sides in terms of the political sphere and even in terms of the business community, big businessmen, small businessmen, international businessmen, local businessmen. And I think it provides a good forum for people to discuss. We also try to mix a little bit the audience, to have not solely the usual type of people sort of speaking, but also mix with people with different backgrounds and different agendas and different things they do in everyday life.
So what makes your conference different from others which are organized?
Well, I would like to think that sort of we invest a lot, and when I say invest, it's investing a lot of thought, a lot of time, a lot of effort in also giving content to the conference. So it's not just organizing a meeting for people to discuss. It's actually, first of all, thinking about the theme, which is, in this case, we'll probably discuss it later, it's open for business. But we also collate feedback, and collate a lot of feedback, both at European level and at Malta level. We also organize panel discussions. There's a lot of thought which goes behind the panel discussions, basically to stimulate discussion. So I think this probably adds a little bit of weight to the conference. And we of course also try to make the conference fun, in the sense that it's not just people coming here to listen for a day, but we give an opportunity for people to be engaged. I think the profile of the people attending is not just the speakers, but also the attendees, which makes it interesting and sort of gives a little bit of a, how shall I say, incentive for people to get engaged, get involved. And I think that's the trick, getting people engaged throughout the event.
This year, EY chose the theme Malta Open for Business. Why this theme and why this year?
Open for business in various ways, and I think this will be a recurring theme which we want to run through the conference. It's open for business with various countries, within Europe, beyond Europe. It's open for business, different types of business in terms of the new economy in which Malta is operating, and perhaps open for business in the sense that sort of should we look at Malta on its own, or perhaps even in terms of the labor supply, in terms of our customers, in terms of the people we do business with, looking at beyond Malta. So Malta being open in different ways.
Your surveys focus on how to make Malta attractive for foreign investors. In the past, red tape and high energy bills were seen as hindering the country's competitiveness. Today, we hear a lot about logistics and infrastructure. Why are they so important?
We've been running the survey for something like the last 12 years now, and there have been some recurring themes, and in fact some of the themes you mentioned do feature again in recent surveys. But at one stage, for example, there was a heavy focus on planning. At one stage, energy tariffs. I think it goes a little bit with the time in terms of where people feel there is improvement, or perhaps even what's in the news at the time. So there would be some, how shall I call it, unconscious bias, some perhaps influenced bias in terms of the agenda at the time. Well, I think we mentioned logistics probably because people are right now thinking a lot about sort of taking Malta back to its roots in terms of being a kind of supply base or effectively a logistics base. So it comes back here. Infrastructure, potentially because there's a need to upgrade the island's infrastructure, so a lot has been done. Probably there's still more to be done. And I think it's also influenced by the debate, what's going on.
Until last year, Malta Attraction Survey served as a platform for debate. This year, you're taking it a step further. How?
This year we wanted to. First of all, let me just say, the conference progressed with time. So, for example, 7-8 years ago, it used to be just a couple of hours event, and we basically just shared the survey. Last year we did it in a different way, by allowing people to discuss the findings of the survey. This year we want to be a little bit more brave, in terms of not just saying what people are telling us, that sort of can be done better, but actually we as EY coming forward with some suggestions. Some suggestions which will then also be debated during the conference, saying, is this what should be done? So I think in this way we'll take it to a step further, not just sort of bringing back the feedback from the people who did the survey, or just saying what is wrong, but also giving our own contribution to basically, how shall I say, give our input to how things can really be done better. And I think that will help sort of in the quality of the debate. Also the quality and the mix of speakers, who I think can contribute from different aspects.
Every year you invite guests of international caliber. Last year you had Alistair Campbell, who proved to be a very interesting speaker. How do you choose the speakers?
We try to get speakers who, first of all, can add to the debate. And when it means adding to the debate, speakers who are willing to invest their time in basically understanding Malta. And basically, if they're going to talk about the country, they must know a little bit about the country and also investing the time in learning a little bit more about the country. So that's the first thing we bear in mind. People who can really have the intellectual capability and also have the time to invest in terms of being able to give a positive contribution to the debate. Being Malta, we're very restricted also by the type of people who are known on the island. So there are some very good people, I don't know, from continental Europe, but we generally tend to follow people perhaps in the UK, in Italy, in the United States. So we do try to find speakers who are a little bit well known, although we might mix a little bit. Someone who's well known, someone less well known, who we think can add to the debate. And we also like getting different, how shall I say, people from different backgrounds. For example, this year we'll have Lord Mendelssohn, who everyone knows is comes from, I wouldn't say from the left side, but let's say from the Labour type of side. And Jan Peter Balkenende, who was a Prime Minister on the Christian Democrat side, sort of from both ends of the political spectrum, both sides of the political spectrum. Although I would like to think the conference isn't sort of petty politics, sort of which are discussed here. It's more a case of getting people with different points of view who can actually make a positive contribution to the debate here.
You preempted my question, because in fact I was going to ask. This year's guest speakers are in fact Lord Peter Mendelssohn and Jan Peter Balkenende. What are your expectations?
No, what I do hope is the team is Malta open for business, that they both bring their own insight in terms of how in their view can Malta, whether Malta is open for business and how Malta can be more open to business and in what sense. Both speakers know Malta, and we've spoken about, we basically take a lot of time and effort in terms of not educating the speakers, but telling the speakers about sort of the survey findings, Malta, and Jan Peter Balkenende comes here regularly to Malta, and he was a speaker in the past at one of our events. So this year, we're hoping, and I'm pretty confident, both Mendelssohn and Balkenende can come with their own points of view, and then there will be two panel sessions which can then discuss, and we have a whole agenda for the sessions, to discuss sort of their interventions in the context of these panel debates.